All right, y'all. Today is a very special episode. I am joined by my good friend and former client, Angie Zinkus, and I should just call her Dr. Angie Zinkus because not only are you a doctor, when I read your bio, like Angie is literally the medical director at like two clinics, one in Tennessee, one in Arkansas. She's what are you, the regional director over 20 hospitals. You're the official veterinarian of the Memphis Grizzlies NBA team. I mean, your list is a freaking massive, Ange.
Well, I would say the list did not come overnight. I was actually reviewing when I started with you, and it was during COVID. It was 2020.
Oh my God, is that how long it's been?
Yeah, because
Crazy.
Leah, our friend Leah, reached
Yeah.
out to me. I had seen I guess you had done a program or something, and you had to do it online. You couldn't do it in person. And so I was looking for something in my life, and she hooked me up with you. Well, at that time, I guess the best to describe myself, if you had looked up a people pleaser in the dictionary, my picture would be there. It would literally be my picture as a people pleaser. And I guess that's where the journey started, with us doing conversations. And, I let people get to me too much. And it wasn't necessarily that, I was in my own mind space. And I'll never forget like being at work and having a client just tore me apart on a Yelp review. And I'll
I
never forget
remember that.
they're
I remember
crying.
that day.
Yeah. And you said to me, you go, Angie, this guy has like 40 cats and is in his 40s. He has zero credibility. And I just remember that. And it kind of started, I guess, a chain reaction of things. Moving forward, I went to your retreat after that. And that retreat, I don't think I ever told you this, but I felt it was wonderful. So I'll get to how that helped, but I felt so out of place because all these people had been to retreats and knew you and were talking about, manifesting and all this stuff. And I was just like, what's going on? And then I'll go ahead and bring it up, the hot seat. Where I believe my exact words to you were, I want to punch you in the face.
Yes, those were the words.
Those were the exact words. What, and then coming home from the retreat, I look back on it now and I didn't see it at the time, but, and what I want your, potential clients or people who are going to go to your retreats to understand is I didn't get back from the retreat. Oh gosh, I was different. It's taken so many years to get to that point. So, I know we haven't talked in a while, but just to let you know, after the retreat and stuff, I came back and I'll never forget my practice manager at my clinic had noticed a change in me. There were little changes. And during that process, I started doing a lot of self reflection, and I wanted to understand why certain people wouldn't text me back, why I was letting people get to me, why not everybody was my friend. And I came across a couple of things. One of the things I started thinking about is I'm expecting people to think like I think. And that's not fair. That's not fair to have people think that they're supposed to think like me, because no two people are going to think the same. The other thing, I read a quote, and I wrote it down because I knew I'd forget it, by Lazoi, who's a Chinese philosopher. And he said, care about what other people think, and you will always be their prisoner. And then, the whole, people pleasing and wanting people to like me. Another revelation I had was that Jesus even had enemies. So when I started just changing my mindset, my thinking, things started to change for me. And I was happier because I wasn't a prisoner to other people. Fast forward to 2022, I was asked to be, excuse me, let me back up. I was co-medical director with my mentor, and we had been together for 20 years, and she left to go out of state. And, that was a big loss. And so I was in charge at that point at my clinic. And then, things started going great and stuff. And then I think it was August of 2022, I was asked to be the medical director at Arkansas Veterinary Emergency and Specialty in Little Rock. And I was like, okay, and so just trucking along. And then in December of 2022, December 13th, my father took a turn for the worse. He was a clinical psychologist for 52 years. And for 3 weeks, he was in and out of the hospital. And January 8th, after 3 days of watching him in hospice, he passed. It's hard to describe grief, especially losing a parent, but I can look back on it now and see where my time with you helped prepare me for this. As a side note, I want you to know my dad adored you. Because I would, after our sessions, I would talk to him and I'd be like, hey, because I'd be like, I can't believe she's, and it wasn't that I was mad, but you go through all the emotions and stuff. And he's like, she's spot on. And here's a guy who's been a child psychologist for 52 years. He also loved how you cussed about on your, but he really, you have it, like, you have it right. Like he just loved how you talked to me and how you helped me see a different side of things. And so the only thing I can describe is after he passed, I had a decision. To sit there and just crawl up in the fetal position, or I had a decision to make change. And it was like all those years, everything, you had given me the tools to get there. And it was like I grew wings and I just soared. And that next day, and obviously all the things my dad had taught me too, it gave me wings to grow. And, from then on, it was like I didn't look back. I was like, here's what I'm doing. 2023, right after he passed. And I don't want to, obviously the grief is hard, and grief, whew, that will take you down in a second. But you learn, you don't forget the person, but you learn to live without them. And he also was the guy I always went to. He was, I went to him for everything. And so I had to navigate this world alone. And in 2023, I said, you know what? We're moving forward. So I bought a boat. I bought a house. I was like, it was almost like I was adulting all of a sudden. I'd finally come an adult, and I read a quote that said, you really don't become an adult until you lose a parent. And so, later on, and things were just falling into my lap when I changed my mindset. I got approved to be on the Tennessee State Board of Veterinary Medical Examiners. Our clinic was featured in a medical magazine. In November, the Grizzlies called, and they're like, would you mind? I'm trying to act cool, and they're like, would you like to, be the Grizzlies vet? And that's something I had been working on that for several years. And the last 6 months I had sent them an email, and it just, I was like, oh yeah, sure. That's cool. And, I've had to sign NDAs and go to players' houses and all that stuff. It's unreal. And, one of the wives of the players was like, hey, do you mind if I share your cell with all the players? And I'm like, inside I'm screaming, but I'm like, oh yeah, that's cool. That's fine.
That's so awesome. That's so cool, because I know how hard you worked on that. I just keep going, but it's like, I am getting emotional. You're not emotional. I'm getting emotional thinking about this. I mean, you and I haven't worked together in, like you said, probably about 3 years, but watching from afar, obviously I always wish my clients the best. And I always hope that they have those aha clicking moments. And sometimes they have them while we're together, but it's really cool to hear that, you kind of had this moment. How long after your dad, because I've worked with a couple of clients whose parents have passed. How long after your dad's passing did you kind of decide?
Literally when I saw when he was passed in the hospital room.
Wow.
And that was on Sunday night at 10. I literally woke up the next day and was like, okay. It was like a switch had flipped. I can't describe it. I wish I could put it into words, but it was like, I don't know. And like I said, I'm so grateful for that damn hot seat. I'm so grateful for you. I'm so grateful. Sorry, several times I was a little shit to you.
No, that's okay. And I'm glad that you were shit. I'll be honest, Angie's hot seat at one of my retreats. I don't do a ton of her retreats anymore. I'm actually thinking about doing one this fall, but it's so interesting because out of all of the hot seats I've done at retreats over the years, by far, yours was probably the hardest in the fact that I was like, oh, fuck. Like, oh, fuck. This girl is like not happy. And then you leave the retreat and you had a fucking tattoo of the retreat. And I'm going,
Yeah.
oh my God, I really fucked this girl up. Thank God I didn't make you guys sign like, I am not responsible for any of your acts afterwards.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that was the thing, like back then, I just was like, why did I even come to this retreat? Like, what, I can't believe it, But and I want all your viewers to know who've not been to one, it's not a girls' weekend. Like it is, but it isn't. But it's not like, oh my God,
it's not, it's work.
It's work.
It's work.
But I get it now. Like I get it now, like 100%. And so that's where I'm like people, like, you won't get it at the time. And like I said, you aren't going to go and then all of a sudden you're a new person. It's, for many people, it's going to take time. You gave me the tools to get there. And I'm very grateful for this. And I told your assistant when I had the form to fill out, I was like, I want to make this like, I know you weren't looking for this, but like, this is about Christina and my father, like the two people who, had I not had them in my life, I wouldn't be where I was I wouldn't have been able to handle my dad's passing. I'm going to tell you right now, because man, that was hard. That
Sure,
is
that's still hard. It's making me emotional just thinking about it. I know, like, I mean, you guys were so close.
Yeah. And he was a good man. And I'm finding things out about him after the fact that I didn't know, like how, many people he didn't charge. He did what was right, and he didn't brag about it because he was a humble man. And so I'm finding out things, and I'm actually, I find I'm turning into my father a lot of ways. He wouldn't put up with BS. He wouldn't put up with bullshit. I guess I can say bullshit on your
You
podcast.
can definitely say whatever the fuck you want on this podcast. You know that.
And so I'm finding with the backbone you gave me, I'm able to handle difficult clients. And I won't, that client that had me crying in the food closet, I don't put up with it anymore. And I'm very, very, very fortunate from my transition to be able to almost be and I use the air quotes, the Christina LaCure of veterinary medicine, where I am teaching my staff to see their worth. I have a staff that is amazing, and a practice manager who's been my friend and almost like family for over 19 years. And we finally have a staff that we have a very great culture, and our staff is just so passionate about what they do, but we want them to see their worth, because people in veterinary medicine come from a lot of empathetic backgrounds and stuff where they've had some trauma, and so I feel like I'm able to help those people now that I've worked on myself first.
I'd love for you to kind of talk about that, because, Angie, I've shared this actually, and I probably should have shared this with you because it made a big difference to me, and because I've shared it with so many people. Over the years, I've had a bunch of clients come in, or people I've done discovery calls with that have never turned into clients. And I had no idea that veterinarian medicine, you have the highest rate of suicide, and it is one of the most stressful medical positions that there is. And the fact that you are now saying that you've created a culture, because I mean, it doesn't matter what industry you're in. One of my number one most pain points for all of my clients is staff. Staffing is hard, and having employees is very hard. And the people that have the most success, I'm thinking about a few of my clients. My client Chris, I know she has an unbelievable culture. Thinking about you, culture is huge, and the fact that you lead these people in such a high stressed situation, I think, is incredible. But talk about that. Like, I'm assuming most people don't know that veterinarians have like extreme trauma and a lot of stress in their position.
You have to understand that everybody perceives us as playing with puppies and kittens all day.
Yeah.
And what they don't see is what happens behind it. It got really bad during COVID. I mean, clients were being very abusive. I actually was just on the phone yesterday with a client that was abusive to one of my staff members. And I called this person and I said, no, this is unacceptable. You aren't going to do this. And I think your staff appreciates when you support them, but they take hits, and you got to remember, like for me, I go into a room where maybe I'm having to euthanize a pet, and then I have to change my whole demeanor for the new puppy. One of the worst things ever in veterinary medicine is obviously losing a patient and having to call. The people, you don't know how many times I've been working an ER shift and somebody can't afford something or something, and they go, so you're going to let my dog die because I can't afford it. And so it's the constant guilt. And obviously, veterinarians are renowned for doing things pro bono a lot in the right circumstances. But there's a lot behind it. And when you create that positive culture, you get more out of your staff, and you show them their worth. I'm going to tell you right now, veterinarians are getting better, but staff does not get paid near what they're worth. They do not, and they do so much. If they leave, I can't do my job. And so I think showing my practice manager and I constantly show appreciation to our staff. And, I was so delighted when I got to be the regional medical advisor for Arkansas, Mississippi, and Tennessee, because I can help the other medical directors and our advisors and stuff understand the importance of yeah, we got to give the doctors what they're worth because they're making the money. But if you don't have support staff and you don't show them appreciation, you're nothing.
Wow. And it started with you. It started with you kind of, making that decision. So in that moment when your dad passed, and you had obviously been doing a lot of work on yourself kind of prior to and beforehand, but what really was it? Because I always like to know, and I think someone who is listening to this, a lot of people, and unfortunately, what I've learned in this career is that a lot of people need kind of like quote unquote those rock bottom moments to make a real big change. When you and I were working together, when we first started together, I don't know if you were at your quote unquote rock bottom, but like you were at a point where you're like, you knew you needed to change. But like, what would you tell a person who's like, not at like just losing their dad or whatever, but like, what would you say to that person who feels like they're always living for external, they're striving to get that validation, they're trying to do what they think that they can do to make everyone happy and please everyone, and they're living out of alignment, and they don't have that inner peace? What would you tell that person?
Well, my easy answer is get you as their coach and go to one of your retreats. But I think I did a lot of reading, like be it religious reading. And if you're not a religious person, there's lots of things out there. And I did a lot of reading and self-reflection. I also, one of the reasons for getting the boat that was something my father loved, by the way, boating. And I am definitely, they say the firstborn daughter is the spitting image of their father. And I just go out, I have a little slip down in Pickwick, and I just go and I just release, and I just go out there and just forget everything. And that was one of the things I never could shut my mind off. But when I have external things to do like that, I can just be out there at peace. My phone doesn't work out there, which is amazing. But I think you have to realize, for me, I thought, oh, nothing's wrong with me. And I think that's where I'm very stubborn. And so when I went to your retreat and when we were talking, I was like, nothing's wrong with me. But when I really did some self-reflecting, and like I said, going back to the friends that wouldn't text me back or something, I'm like, maybe something's going on in their life. When I started to look at another side, maybe it's not me. And, I put so much of my worth in that when there were bigger and better things I could do. And when I started, serving other people too, and like I said, not focusing on myself, but making myself better, and then being able to serve other people, it made me happy. And, losing my father, like I said, there's no words for it. It's not a club you want to be a part of, but it was like, okay, he's given me the tools to survive like you. I got to do it. It's either that or I'm just going to I'm just going to flounder into just rock bottom. And so it wasn't, and it wasn't even I don't think it was even a conscious choice. It just happened. But like I said, I had been given the tools, and it's taken 4 years to get there. And that was kind of the nidus that set things in motion, the catalyst. And then it's like, I haven't looked back. Not every day is perfect by any means. I still have my thing where a certain song will come on, and I'm like, it's funny because every time I go over to Little Rock to work, when I pass over the bridge, my dad, every time he passed over the bridge, would sing in this deep voice, Old Man River, the song. And he got the words all wrong. So every time I turned on my radio and I sing Old Man River, going back and forth to Little Rock. But and I will say also, and I'm wearing her shirt right now. This
Sarah.
girl, Sarah, man, that girl reached out to me because she had lost her mom, and she, reached out to me, and she was a big help during all this too. Because you wonder, am what I feel, what I'm feeling real? Is this, and the thing is, there's no right or wrong way to grieve. Everybody's gonna be different. I was back at work the next day after losing my dad, but that is also where my staff was so important because they're my family. And they were there for me. And I knew my dad would want me to keep going. He wouldn't want anybody to sit there crying over him. Obviously I did, but he would want people to keep going. And so that was another thing that, just knowing that he would be proud of me, and he would be so proud of this moment right now too.
Well, I'm so glad that we did this, and it's a long time coming, and you and I were just
Yeah.
messaging back and forth. But, I think sometimes too, like on my side of the things, I think, you and I over the years, I'm sure we've talked about this, but I always say there's three jobs. There's my job, there's God's job, and then there's the client's job.
Mhm.
And I think sometimes you would probably really resonate with this because, and maybe it's not quote unquote your client, maybe it's your client's like parent, like the
Yeah.
animal's owner. But sometimes all you can do is your job. Like I can't force a person to get it. I can't force a person to do the things that they need to do in order to find the joy or the peace or the worth or the overwhelm or take the risks and do all the things. Like I would do that just like you would do anything to help your patient. Sometimes you have to believe that they have to do it in their own time at the right time. And as much as you want it for them in that moment, it's so nice to hear that 4 years later, you're like, I get it.
Yeah.
Like, I got it.
And it was my aha moment. And it was like, everybody was talking about at that retreat, the universe aligning. My universe aligned. I mean, it finally happened. It was 4 years later, but it happened. And another thing, I was talking so much about, my accomplishments and all that stuff, but it's crazy because after my dad passed, I found a quote sitting next to his chair. And I actually found one in my passport, and I have no idea how I got there. It's one he had written in his own writing. And I have it written over here because I don't want to mess it up. And it said, oops, hold on, I'm so sorry. Oh,
You're good.
hello.
I can hear
Okay.
you. Yeah.
It said a person shouldn't be judged by what they've accomplished. They should be judged on what they've overcome.
Mm.
And when I found that, like just days after he had passed, and then I found it in my passport, like I was shaking when I found it in my passport because he never touched my passport. And I have no idea how it got in there. It was like, I think that was another thing. Okay, I got to sign. I got to sign. And it's not what you accomplish, but what you've overcome. And I feel like I've overcome so much since when we first met. And I will forever be grateful to you for that and him.
Oh my God. Well, I'm so thankful for you. Like you get this because out of everyone that I've ever worked with, I mean, I've said this before, you are so passionate about what you do. Like, golly, if you need a veterinarian, this girl is your girl because she will fucking, I don't know, you'd probably do surgery on a beetle. Like, I mean, you just care so deeply about your patients and what you do. And I feel like you and I are very similar in that regard. And sometimes it just sucks when you feel like you've done all you can do, but the person didn't get exactly what they needed. And sometimes, unfortunately, people will never get it. So it's nice when you and I have been kind of now reconnected and I'm hearing that you're feeling that you're like, fuck, it took me a minute. And like when we were doing it, I just couldn't see it, but now I get it. Like I needed it. And also too, like you just said about the sign, I think that is really, really cool because I think sometimes people don't understand why certain things are happening in the moment. Like
Mhm.
if I'm being very honest, I have a client right now that we've ended our coaching relationship and it's just come out of nowhere and it's been very emotional for me because I'm just like,
Mhm.
fuck, I really felt like I could help this person.
Yeah.
In the beginning, it was like she was all on board, and then now it's like ghost town, and it's like as much as I am angry and I'm mad and I'm pissed and I'm sad and
Yeah.
all of the things, I'm also like, there's got to be a purpose and a reason. There's got like, this doesn't happen all the time. So there's got to be a purpose and a reason. And I pray that in a couple of years from now, she has that moment and she comes back and says, hey, I didn't get it at the time,
Yeah.
but what happened then prepared me for what is now. And it's really cool to hear that when we were doing all of the things that we were doing and that retreat, which was like a lot for you in that moment, it felt it it didn't make sense then, but it made complete sense for when you needed it.
Yeah, exactly. That is the best way to put it. Like, I mean, like I said, 0 cents then. I'm like, I am way out of my league here, everybody, and like I said, it makes complete sense. It's just crazy how things happen in your life and who you meet that help with your journey. And I'm not done yet. I'm still working on self.
Oh my God, girl.
Yeah.
This is what I do for a job and I'm constantly working on myself.
Yeah. And so, I've still got a lot of things I want to do, and people I want to meet and all that stuff. And that was another thing. I just was like, you know what? I want to start meeting these, celebrities and stuff that I've wanted to meet for years. And so it's that decision to, like you say, to live your best life. And you would think, oh my God, how is she living her best life after a year and a half ago losing her father? And I, it, I am because I realized life is too short. Life is too short to worry about what people are thinking about you. Life is too short to not buy the boat, or go to the concert, or, call a friend or tell someone how much they've helped you in your life. And so I think I came to the reality that, you got to live every day to the fullest.
Yeah. And you know what? I think that I mean, I know everyone over the last 30 minutes, there's going to be so much that people are going to take from this. And especially people who have lost a parent are really, really going to resonate with this. And people who felt like their worth came from what they did and, what
Mhm,
people thought of them. I mean, I know that resonates with me personally, but it resonates with so many people. And I
mhm,
also think too, you're so brave for being able to say that because, I've done calls with people for so many years, and they're in your and I's exact position where we were, and they don't have the courage to just take that next step. They say it's not the right time. They should wait. It's about the money. What are their family going to say? Like
mhm.
all of the bullshit excuses. But, unfortunately, you and I aren't 20 years old anymore.
No,
well,
no,
well into our 40s. We
yeah, yeah.
understand now that like you have to say it's my turn. You have to decide.
Mhm.
Like no one is going to decide it for you. And I really hope if someone gets something from this, and I know there'll be a ton of things, but just making that decision to live life now. Like fuck, we are not like I think I'm a lot younger than I am.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But do the damn things.
Yeah, do everything. I mean, because you don't want to look. I didn't want to look back on my life and say, "Oh, I wish I had done that." That's the last thing I want to do. I mean, I'm 47, and the great thing also about not giving a fuck. I'm gonna say I wanted to say fuck at least. Might have just said it twice on your podcast, but is when you get like 47 and you're getting menopausal and you have like zero emotions, like it's just like I don't care, like fuck them. Oh, I said it 3 times. That's good.
Oh my gosh. See, you can't come on this podcast without saying it. I
You
have
gotta
had
say,
people. I have had people for sure over the years, but no, not you in particular. But I'm so proud of you. And I'm so what's next for you? I mean, obviously, like you're obsessed with what you do. You're extremely successful in your occupation. And I know that you have so many more goals in that too. But both personally and professionally, what are some of the next big things?
well, I love what I do. I absolutely love what I do. I've learned to take more time off for myself when I get,
Good girl.
because like burnout's a real thing and compassion fatigue's a real thing. um like I said, I absolutely love what I do, so I think it's just moving up the corporate ladder more. Encouraging my team. I do want to do Ironman triathlon at some point. That's in the future.
You've never done an Ironman?
Oh no, I was a marathoner, And
Oh, I
so,
swear I thought you did a triathlons too.
oh no, 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 no. So the
Oh.
Ironman, I loathe swimming, loathe it. I like, so
Now that you
that's like,
got a boat, do you jump off the back and start training?
soon I will. Not yet. Pickwick, the thing about when we go down to Mississippi is we can go to Mississippi, Alabama, and Tennessee all in one little area, but you got to watch out with snakes. There's a lot of snakes.
Oh,
So
God,
yeah,
no.
but I'll get there. I'll get there. It's not something I'm going to rush right into.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know this, I did get my dad had a very unique signature that he used for all his reports he wrote on kids. And I got his signature on my left shoulder. I got it tattooed. So he's always got my back now,
Oh my God,
which
I
was
love
really
that.
cool. So, it's like I said, I'm landscaping my whole yard and getting some, I had to pick out flagstone recently. Like I've never done that. I'm getting a beautiful waterfall put in the back just to enjoy my backyard. So it's all about, working hard, but playing harder for me.
That's so good. And
Yeah.
we're obviously like you're the best. You practice in Tennessee, you practice in Arkansas and Mississippi, but I know that people are really going to resonate with this. I know that you're on Instagram. You don't have like this, I know you have your personal page, you have the your company page, but like where do people find you if they want to just like connect?
They can send me a message on Instagram and Facebook. That's fine with me. I don't really have a lot of I'm not real social media savvy. I just do my occasional, hey, look what happened. I caught a fish, type thing. Or I met Tim McGraw or, something like that. But they're welcome to reach out anytime. And like I said, I think that the best thing is being able to help people. I see why your job is so fulfilling, but like especially if someone has lost a parent, I am more than happy to talk with them, because that is not an easy road to navigate by any means. It's a life changer, but when you have the appropriate tools to send you on your way, then it's manageable, and that's what it was, manageable. Like I said, I grew my wings and I just flew after that happened.
I'm so proud of you. You remind me very much of one of my former clients, Jamie. She hired me just like I think 3 or 4 months after her dad passed, and she wrote a book
Oh
shortly
wow.
after that in our time together. And both you and her, and I'm sure I'm forgetting a few other clients that really, kind of decided it was their turn after that. But both the two of you had that moment where you're just broken and obviously no one knows what they're going to do and how they're going to react in that situation. But I look at you both and I'm just thinking about the two of you at the moment, how you both handled those situations and how beautiful they were about, you can still be in so much grief and yet
Mhm.
truly live and truly decide you can have a great life, even in spite of that. So it is unbelievably motivating. I'm very, very grateful that we did this podcast today. And I hope that people do reach out to you. So, what is your IG handle? Obviously, when this comes out, we'll tag you and share it. And I
Yeah,
know you will as well. But what is your IG handle where people can find you?
it is AHZ, like Angela Helen Zinkus, DVM, like Doctor of Veterinary Medicine. That's it.
Perfect. Well,
Very easy.
very easy. We'll tag it. We'll find you. Are you public or private?
I'll make myself public. I
Oh,
think I'm public. I'll make
damn.
myself,
You're making yourself
but
public. Yeah, girl.
let me say this, and I want to say it because it'll be official if it's on your podcast.
Yeah.
I'm good. I'm making it my goal for you and Nathan to come down to a Grizz game this season.
Oh
Sit
my
with,
God. Is it
yeah.
when did but the basketball season's in playoffs. Did
It's
they
it,
make the playoffs?
no, no,
Oh,
no. It
fuck.
was a rebuilding season, but um, I
As
have,
all of the big fans say.
yes.
That's what I say about the Cowboys too, Ange. We're both
Yeah.
delusional.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And so October things will start up. So I want you and Nathan to come sit courtside
Oh
with
my
me on.
God.
So
Fuck yes. We are so in. We say that we're gonna deal with all that kind of crap, and we just need to put it on the schedule and make it happen. And you and I
absolutely.
and Leah, when's the next time we're like telling we'll figure it out after that we hit
Yeah.
stop on this podcast. But me, you, and Leah need to go for lunch. How often do you come to Little Rock now?
Oh, it's gonna be I'm gonna be back there in June. I'm going every other weekend in June. And that's another thing you think, why do you want to work on the weekends? I love this staff at Arkansas Veterinary. That place, it has turned around. We were not about 2 years ago, I was the only PRN ER doctor there. Now we've got doctors banging down the door to work there. We've got 24/7 care. Like it's come a long way. And that's again, kudos to their practice manager and staff as well, we've turned the place around. But yeah, so I know a little bit of Little Rock. I go from the Burgundy Hotel to Cantrell to and back. But yeah, just I can always come.
Hey, no, we'll go to Petite and Keat. Petite and Keat, right beside the
Oh yeah, I
Burgundy
know where that is.
Hotel. Oh hell
I know where
yeah!
that is.
Leah and I, we know wine there very,
Oh
very
yeah.
well. So awesome. Well, I'm so grateful for this. I'm so proud of you. Thank you for sharing your story.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for just, sharing your dad's story. And yeah, I'm excited for you. I'm excited for what's next. And I love watching it. You guys even just go follow Angie just because she like literally gets to hang out with all of the celebrities. I mean, we got Kenny if you're watching this on YouTube, we got Kenny Chesney, Lainey Wilson. And where's your Tim McGraw one? Not framed yet?
It's currently being framed.
I love it. Awesome. She and I can really, really, we are the same soul when it comes to music. Last weekend, we went to a concert, and this is just a side note, but I think it's funny. We went to a concert, and no, I'm not even going to say who it was, but everyone in town was like so excited about it. I thought it was dog shit. So country is where it's at. I'm only a country girl through and through, you and I together.
Yep.
All right, girl.
Absolutely.
I appreciate you so, so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh my God. Thank you for doing this and thank you for sharing. You guys, please share this with someone that you know that might need it. And don't forget, you have the power to decide. It is your turn as well.